So today I'm going to be talking about the difference between freedom and liberty in early Western civilization. And in doing so, I'm going to be using an article that I found called, let me get that here. I'm going to actually be using the Magna Carta and an article called Life and Liberty, their original meaning, historical antecedents, and current significance in the debate over abortion rights. Although I won't go into abortion rights, the significance of the article actually has to do with the original meaning and the historical antecedents, actually. Um, but to begin the discussion, I think it's important to understand how freedom and liberty are different. And I think it's important to understand the difference in the origins of the words. And Dr. Kerry Roberts, from his video that we watched at the very beginning of the semester, talks about the origins of the words when in his video Why a Course on Western Freedoms, when he says that the word freedom is of Germanic origins and derives from the word neighbor, whereas liberty is a Mediterranean or a Roman origin and derives from the Latin word libertas, which involves certain rights and duties, and kind of sort of actually explains that. And he says that a lot of people sort of interchange or see liberty and freedom as sort of synonymous with each other when when it really is not, especially when it comes to the time period when we're discussing. Um, and today I think we use it that way, liberty and freedom as interchangeable. And so I think it's important to discuss that. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of different people when I discuss the particular article. One of the particular articles that I talked about, I'm going to talk about Thomas Hobbes. I'm going to talk about John Locke. These are two gentlemen who were very specific in what they believed to be their views of liberty and freedom. um, Now, Locke believed that liberty and freedom were not interchangeable. They were two very separate, very different ideas. Hobbes, although he believed kind of the way I see Hobbes's ideas is that he kind of suggests that liberty and freedom are interchangeable. They're synonymous with each other. Um, and he starts by talking, Hobbes, of course, that about natural liberty and civil liberty, breaking them down into the two separate ideas, and that the idea that people surrender their natural liberty for civil liberty. And this has a lot to do with his ideas of social contract, and what he believes is very important, um, particularly when it comes to his ideas of sovereignty and what he believes as being, um, particularly because he believes the idea of absolute monarchy, and then, of course, the idea of commonwealth in an absolute monarchy. Um, but Hobbes also says that people surrender their natural liberty to their sovereign. However, with liberty in a commonwealth, he says, it becomes the sovereign's freedom to do as it pleases. I think that really kind of, he's talking about here is that you're giving your natural liberty over to the leader. And within the structure, the power structure, the sovereign kind of takes that and he uses the freedom, the liberty that you give him to do whatever he wants. He also defines liberty as freedom from restraint, the ability to do whatever you want with that, with what you have. But he also thinks that laws infringe on liberty. He says the idea that laws enhance liberty is nonsense. He doesn't believe that laws actually help with liberty. Now, Locke believed that liberty is a natural right. He is very different um, from Hobbes. Hobbes is a more, I guess, modern sort of interpretation of liberty and freedom. Locke, on the other hand, differs from the modern concept of liberty. And he states that the condition of the state of liberty is not like, um, excuse me, like what we think of, or like with Hobbes. He says that liberty is one of our natural rights. He constantly states that while liberty is limited, it is a right, or the right. And this kind of goes along with, I think, what the Magna Carta says, or the belief that also the original, Roman origins, that liberty is the idea of rights. He goes on to state, of course, that there is a difference between freedom and liberty. There's a quote that says, the liberty of man in society is to be under no other legislative power but that established by consent in the commonwealth. Freedom is not liberty. And then he goes on to say, for everyone to do what he likes, to live as he pleases, and to not be tied to any laws. Okay? And the idea here, I think, is that he's stating that freedom and liberty are not synonymous with each other, but also freedom and liberty are not there for people to do what they want to do. Like Hobbes says, he thinks, and Hobbes's ideas. Hobbes and Locke would not have agreed on the idea of liberty or freedom at all. And then, of course, the Magna Carta, which we consider to be, of course, the cornerstone of liberty because of due process. Um, Locke himself considers the idea um, that for in all states of created beings capable of laws, there is no law, there is no freedom, for liberty is to be free from restraint and violence. And I think that kind of goes along with Clause 39 of the Magna Carta, where it says, no free man shall be arrested or imprisoned except by lawful judgment of his peers, which is the foundation of liberty as the idea of being protected from arbitrary punishment. So I think that's a really important ideal. Not sure if this really answers the question, but I hope it does.